that I exhibited in garage. I make some performances for them, but I'm going to talk about the body in the space and how it could reveal different situations and different approach to our behavior and for our feeling and so on. This is a first and classical example. I think a lot of you know about it. This is Trisha Brown. A performance called Line Duets, and it have been done in 1968, and there was a year in when a lot of protest actions was happened all around the world, and people really were they really worried about how the authorities treat with the civic people, and they didn't they wasn't shy to express themselves, and the choreographers became one of these participants. And yesterday there were a lot of conversations about the political meanings of the abstract art, and I want to share my opinion a bit about it, because, for example, this performance is really political, because if you look at it attentively or even try to do it, you will understand that this is a lot about the trust and about the readiness to help each other and to share the I don't know, the responsibility, because the people really share weight of each other, and this is, I think, not so abstract as could be observed. This is Trisha Brown. He just died maybe a month ago. And we go to the next slide. It's also one of her classical performances, and it's more devoted to not the relations with the people, but more about the reflection to the urban space. And this is not documentation, but they make it again, and it also have been done in 69, I think. So now we are not surprised, because we already saw the ballet on the walls and all those things. But I think this is important to keep in mind that what is the beautifying of the city and what is the real expression of such conceptual approach, because this is just a walking man. It calls walking man, but it walks not on the street but on the wall, and it's just about the I don't know, the small one small shift which could change our way of perception. And it's already Willy Dorner, who is also used to be mentioned during our laboratory, one of the most famous urban interventions, and this already became a repertoire, you know, because they have showed it in a different countries, in a biennales and all the rest. And I think this is the first step from which a lot of site-specific performances start, and now it's already approach of educational training, for example, for urbanists who we visited in technical university. So here we see the communication with the city furniture, and of course, this is very smart and funny. But I think it's already a heritage, so we could enjoy. Have they done it in Berlin? Do somebody know? No? Okay, I want also to put these guys here because for me it's important to speak not only about the artists who really recognize them as a contemporary artist, but also about the civic practices, I don't know, which transform our viewing of the space. And I choose this example because of course there are another beautiful videos of Scandinavian parkour stars who are already engaged in the designing of the city parks or even new buildings in order to make them more appropriate for the parkour. But I think this example is more important because it's also make this revealness, the broken the routine, because for this guy the routine is the war, it's the Gaza, and they still try to do something which make them alive. And also, of course, we have to keep in mind that this video appears in YouTube after Banksy comes there to do some of his works, and it should be discussed, of course, in post-colonial discourse and how we the things became visible, because before I think no one knows about these guys, and I suppose they haven't the political political thoughts, or they didn't recognize themselves as a political power. And this example also one of my favorite ones because here there is a rethinking of urban space in order to find the audience. As Charles Landry yesterday told us that the main value of contemporary people is the time. These guys use the time of people who are in a transition, who are traveling through the cities. Because, for example, I live in Moscow and I spent maybe 3 hours per day in a metro, and this is really time, real time, when the people have the attention, they have a time to observe something, to do something. And in order to use this time, these nice guys also have to choose the dance approach. So they transform it into site-specific. Really, site-specific approach here is much more important than the beautiful dances and the extremal plastic joints. So we see the again communication with the furniture, and amazing one, yeah. And also it's important for practitioners that they are very gently communicate with the audience. And I think this how several how the professional artists should I don't know, learn to these conventions, because these guys, they really feel these borders. We have to go further. I don't really want, but we have to. Oh no, this I like all my examples. This is a radio ballet, and this very social choreography made like a protest of against the stupid rules of behavior. So in Leipzig, this one of the central stations, and the owner is a private company, and in order to make it more secure, they have made the list of the rules in which they forbid to do several, I don't know, gestures, activities, and all the rest. And the author of this performance, they make so you can come to the place with your personal radio. You find the wave, and then you put the earphones, and you just listen to instructions. And instructions reveal the stupidness of these rules. For example, this is the best, I think. Sorry. Place, because there is a forbidden to beg for money, for example, to beg for money. And after you do several of these gestures, which is also, I think here, this gesture is also forbidden to do there. Then you see that I also like the instructions because, yeah, turn palm up. And then you can, again, to turn palm on this direction, and we see the powerful of the gesture, because this gesture and this is completely another. We just change the flat, and it's already begging the money, and this is forbidden. And a lot of such small changes, they are forbidden in these rules. And it's one of the example which really matches with the Russian laws, when you have a law which is different to which it could be used in a different ways. Yeah, so you can interpret it in the way how you want. And I think this is one of the examples, and how people treat with it. And this, yeah, you see. And it will finish by the common dance. This is also one of the brilliant examples. The company calls Public Movement. And here you see the Guard of Honor. And their public gesture were to change the ordinary movements. So here you see that they dance, the robot dance, instead of the repeat the ordinary ritual. And I think this is an amazing example about the relation to the authority face, to the face of the powerful people, because here I see that they could be funny, they could be stupid, they could be vulnerable, and it brings me to the to avoid the sacralization, because I feel a lot of sacralization of the authorities and the power, and I think it stops people to think more open. So I would like to see this in the Red Square, to be honest. And continue with these sad stories. I guess yesterday also we have a talk about the conversation with the Ministry of Culture and another organizations who is responsible to spending money for the culture. And I think this is a great example which shows us that be sure our government think that they really take care about the culture. And for example, this great illustration how they recognize the public art and how many monies they can spend for it and in which form it comes.
Стоп, работа! Время развлечений!
Y'all ready for this?
Yeah, we already told one German journalist about the new project which calls TSEKH. It's about the murals in the city, which is also very expensive ones, and I can suppose that this project. Yeah, it's quite a long video. We can continue after there will be the Santa Claus, the Russian Santa Claus. You see the policemen, and they all together have fun and participate in public movement performance, as you see. Yeah, okay. Of course, Russia isn't the only example where it could happen. This is one of my lovely examples. It's a Philippine prison. And here also dance company decided to make the public, I don't know, maybe this could be called as a social dance for somebody. They sing the Michael Jackson. They don't really care about us. And I think, yeah. And I just invite you to compare it with, for example, Leipzig Radio Ballet or some another example that even Velidorno or public movement. So I think in such situations we just need to analyze our feelings, what we feel when we observe such performances. I have just a couple, 1.5 of minutes, so I'll go further. This is one of the examples how we tried to be in a public space and to reveal the conventions. I'm sorry in front of the participants of the laboratory who already saw my works. So I just decided to show one that I didn't show. This also on the railway station and one of the biggest Moscow. And here it isn't easy to really communicate somehow with people. They are really occupied by their own business, and only these girls in the red, she spent maybe 10 minutes with us. So she just go up and down to share with us this nice experience. And I want to end with I think maybe this also the approach to speak about the public space, but in the theater, maybe I will not show this and I will not show this. I only will show this a bit. Because here we are on a situation where we exhibit our urban interventions work or works in a public space, and we perform them in a gallery. And there are a lot of discussions, of course, about should it happen or not, but we also did something. We performed the pedestrian and casual body in this manege, in a performative venues, and I think this is not a new approach. So the Justin Short started to do it in the 60s, but I think this is this also the possibility then we could keep in mind. It calls mass structure, and it's just the way how we should share with the audience this pedestrian feeling, and how we can invite them to feel and understand their own body in a different way after visiting such performance. For example, maybe if they will come to the street, they will think about the people and their own role in another way. Yeah, and all these people, besides two, I think, is students and volunteers, so they're not professional dancers. Maybe somebody of them already became, but yeah, I'm finished.